Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show and welcome to yet another episode of Unmuted, Season 2, Episode 6, you guys. We're churning those episodes away. Churning them away? Churning them down? Churn down for what? I don't know what I'm saying. How's it going, you guys? Patient, what's going on? For Derpy Paws made it. She's in the house. Scrappy83. Unmuted. How's it going? Kamikozy, good afternoon. Ace is in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you here, man. Belfagor is in his house. Roxanne is over here. Prodigal Space, nice and early. How are you guys doing, man? How is everybody doing? We're doing another podcast. Well, podcasts are on Wednesdays, as you guys know, but we had a surprise podcast on Monday with Peter Tagrin. Now that I know, I got it from him. We had a surprise podcast on Monday, so it's a double podcast week kind of thing. Hash Bukisha, what's going on? Is that how you say it? Whoop whoop, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Zvenga Boys is in the house. Big bite. I'm stoked you guys are here. We have an awesome episode for you today. Thank you for the part of lights, Kamikozy. I got my friend Tristan French from Ugly Yeti on the show. He's someone that I've known for fucking years. An amazing musician, one of my favorite vocalists that I've heard. And dude, we haven't had a sit down. We're online friends. Isn't that fucking weird? He's a big part of the Middle Eastern metal scene in general, but we're gonna dive into all of that. Wait, why didn't that alert go off? Scrappy83 subscribed at tier 1 for 8 months. Scrappy, you subscribed as long as we've been on Twitch. Holy shit! Thank you, Scrappy83. Wait, let me check why that alert didn't make a sound. Did it make a sound for you guys? All right, I fixed it. I think. I don't know. Where's the sexy wink? You can't have a sexy wink. Oh, Rexter redeemed the sexy wink. Maybe we'll do it later. We'll do it within the podcast. We'll do it in the podcast. Let's just hit the intro. Let's get our boy Tristan in here. Hit the intro. Tristan, welcome to the show, my dude.
Hey, man, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, there you go. Kamikozy with a clap.
You're far too kind.
How's it going, man? How's everything been?
Yeah, it's going as good as it can be. I mean, Lord knows what's happening in the UK right now. Currently, they're planning to open up on July 19th. Whether that will actually happen, I can't tell you. But we're doing what we can. And yeah,
it's been a complicated relationship with the dynamics of lockdown and opening up over there, right?
Oh, it's up and down like a yo-yo, dude. It's just... It's going to be a Fast and Furious franchise at this point.
Before we actually get into the lockdown and the shows and stuff like that, I wanted to talk a little bit about, or introduce everyone through talking a little bit about how you and I met, because this is the first like conversation we have, technically, I think.
Yeah, that wasn't over like some kind of messaging app or something.
Yeah,
because we spoke quite a bit in the early kind of days, because I remember you were in a band called Who Will Guard the Guardians.
Oh yeah. Horrible.
Which which my friend Kareem turned me onto, and he sort of sent me your split that you did with Billy Bob's Blood thingy.
Yeah. If you guys want to hear bad names, the two bands that shared a split EP were Who Will Guard the Guardians with Billy Bob's Blood Drenched Brew. Now,
Jesus,
that's a bunch of fucking bad names.
I mean, those names immediately just make me think of the sort of Arabian metal scene when we were growing up, which is how we met. Because there were bands with names like Shotgun Enema and Black 13 Angels and that kind of thing. And it was just like, you know, they were great bands, but I was like, these were clearly names that we thought of when we were very, very young.
Yeah. I always like to ask what the earliest band name was that the guest comes up with, because they're either really, really horrible or like the best thing in the world, but they just couldn't cut it. They couldn't make it with that band name. It's always interesting. But let's tell a little bit the tribe a little bit about you. We always say I gave you a botched intro before the intro played. So in your own words, could you introduce yourself to the tribe?
Hey everyone, my name's Tristan. I am Kuwaiti English, and I am the singer for the band Ugly Yeti. Born and raised in Kuwait, lived there 19 years, moved here in 2011, here being the UK, and here's where I've been since.
And that's kind of when you and I started having conversations, is when you were in Kuwait. I was in that horrible named band, and and so you were a huge part, from what I remember. You were very active in the Middle Eastern metal scene when we were around. Like, there were select few people where the Middle Eastern metal scene was. Everyone just knew everyone. Like, there were groups of people from the Middle East in different countries that would do like tape swaps, or like even if it was MP3 swaps, like I'll send you my MP3s, you send me yours. Let's learn from each other. Let's spread the word. You're saying Kareem from Voice of the Soul showed you the split EP with Who Will Guard the Guardians. Were you always into the scene? How was it growing up in Kuwait as anything to do with alternative music?
That is a huge question. I'm going to have to shoot a bit far back than when I got handed that split. But the first time I remember getting into kind of heavier music was through the album Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
Yeah.
As many people of our generation did, I think. That album was just seminal for a lot of people in our age group, and it's a classic to this day. That was the first album that not only exposed me to heavy music, but made me first consider singing when I was like 8 years old, because I wanted to sound like Chester. But yeah, it started with Linkin Park, then moved on to Metallica with the Black Album, again, seminal, pretty gateway stuff. And that opened the floodgates to things like Korn and Slipknot and who are the other big ones? System of a Down. And that kind of thing, which then led to heavier stuff like Children of Bodom and Strapping Young Lad. And as I got more into the heavier side of metal, I started to notice an emerging kind of set of bands. When I was around 14, 15, maybe 16, I can't remember. It all blurs into one at this point. They were all emerging around this one particular time and this one particular event, which was a battle of the bands in, I want to say 2007 or 2008, one of the two. And this whole host of local metal bands or heavier bands just turned up to battle it out, win a bit of prize money, and it was mainly covers. There were a few bits and pieces of originals, but mostly covers acts. But they packed out this whole like school courtyard essentially playing rock music, and that was the first time I noticed there is heavy metal here. There is music here around me. I should probably explore more of the people that are in bands. And you mentioned Kareem. Kareem was one of my first friends in a unestablished band in Kuwait, pretty much. So I spent a lot of time with Voice of the Soul, even in their recording sessions, which looking back, I really shouldn't have been in. I was just in the way.
You know what's funny? I was in the their recording sessions when they were recording here in Dubai. I should not have been in there because I was just distracting them the whole time.
Oh man, that's essentially what I was doing in Kuwait. I was just there as vague comic relief, or for the band to kind of provide some light entertainment while they tracked things again and again and again. But they were the first kind of band that I grew close to, and thanks for that. The first band that sort of exposed me to the recording side of music. Because I was at those recording sessions, I got to see how music was made from point A right to the end. And the person they recorded with, Sarge, named such because he was like a drill sergeant, had them just go at the parts again and again and again and again until they locked it down just right. And something from that, I think, instilled this kind of feeling of inspiration almost, I guess, in me at a super young age to sort of try a bit for myself and see what we could do.
Yeah, it's amazing how I don't know, man, because growing up in the Middle East, yo, Rexter and Craggers, you guys are fucking crazy. Thank you so much for the biddies, you guys. That's amazing. Thank you. Very generous. I love you guys. Growing up in the Middle East and having that like inspiration come from people that are from the scene. Yo, what are you guys doing? Prodigal with the fire. Rexter put it out with the water. Craggers with 10 more biddies. You guys are beautiful. Having that come, the inspiration come from in the scene itself is absolutely mind blowing. Because that was Nerve Cell for me. Seeing Nerve Cell play the 2005 Dubai Desert Rock Festival, opening for Sepultura and Testament and Machine Head, I was like, people I know can do that? You can do that?
Nerve Cell are a cracking band as well. I didn't get to see them till 2009, but hot damn, what a band.
Yeah, Scrappy, sorry to cut you off. Scrappy with 25 biddies, Rexter and Craggers with 10 more biddies each. Thank you guys. Thank you. I love you long time. Look at you crashing the stream. I love you long time. But yeah, did you not before Voice of the Soul and stuff, were there friends around you that were huge into the scene? What was it like over in Kuwait at that time?
There were one or two friends who were starting to get into bands, but I never went and saw them play live. But they were the same friends who I would kind of swap music with, and they'd give me music recommendations while I was in class with them and that kind of thing. But my first time kind of, yeah, my very first experience with bands of any sort was through those sessions with Voice of the Soul, pretty much. Before that, I'd been in a really bad covers band when I was about 12 years old. We covered Linkin Park for a school assembly once, and then I don't think I ever played with them again. Oh no, wait, I did. We managed to get on Kuwait national television, a channel called S02E06. Keep in mind, we were all like 12. And yeah, we were on this weird kids show. None of us knew why we were there. We just knew we were on TV. And they ended up showing it on like some special day in Kuwait, and I never saw the footage of it ever. So it's out there somewhere, but
we need to find that footage. We need to find that fucking footage. That's
please don't.
Woo! Who did the woo? That was Roxanne with the woo. Trish, thank you for hitting the follow. Welcome to the tribe. Rexter, Craggers, you guys are killing it with the bits.
She wasn't ready.
Prodigal Space with the no.
I'm never ready.
By the way, Tristan here is a part of the tribe. He's been in the chat. He's on the Discord. So all of these sounds he's familiar with to some degree. He knows. So we Cheesy McDab trying to get the Slayer scream activated.
You're just giving them carte blanche to hit me with sounds now. I love it.
None of us are ever ready. We got you, Prodigal, my dude. But yeah, this is. Did you? How did you get into like the Linkin Park and getting into a little bit of the heavier stuff, the Korn, the new metal stuff, and then you said Children of Bodoms and stuff. When did I'm listening to music switch to I want to fucking make that music?
Probably somewhere in my mid to late teens was also a time when I was doing a lot of singing, and then sort of realized that, hang on a minute, I don't just have to do this formal type of singing, I can do this as well. And so I put together just a two-piece band between me and my friend Adam called Kill the King, which recorded one song, and it no longer exists, and I will be tracking down anybody who still has a copy. But yeah, we put one song together, and yeah, it was pretty terrible, and it took me a while to go near any band stuff myself after that. But I was glad that I gave it a shot, in the end, starting my own thing in amongst the ever-growing scene that was emerging around us, not just in Kuwait, but in Dubai, because we weren't just getting metal acts coming up through the scene. There were like blues bands and rock bands and jazz bands and that kind of thing coming through as well. So I kind of felt, well, there's all these great bands doing these awesome things. Where could I possibly fit in amongst this brilliance, I guess?
There was, dude, the scene back then, especially in the Gulf. Like if you say Middle East specifically, like in general, it's pretty broad, because then you have like the fucking heavy hitters of Lebanon and the crazy ones that came out of Egypt and stuff like that. But the Gulf at that time, something happened. I don't know. Hash, I don't know if it might have been Sarge's is doing as well, because I know a lot of fucking albums that came out of that guy's studio. And
pretty much everything.
Exactly. I've never met him. We've never had a conversation, but I've heard that name so often that it's actually like it's part of the Middle Eastern metal history, right? It's like even early Benevolent, I believe, was done there. Everything was kind of done in his studio, and it takes something like that. Like I remember in Jordan, it was having this website called Jorzine, or Jorzine, where they just interviewed and reviewed local bands. As simple as that. Like then bands became accountable, and they're like, oh shit, we need to step up our game because someone actually gives a fuck now. It kind of had that vibe back then, where everyone was just figuring out like, oh shit, we can actually do this. It was amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that studio in particular, again, like you say, pretty much every band in Kuwait came out of that studio. The amount of different styles that went in and out of that one building pretty much formed the basis of a scene. There weren't that many people who were doing sort of recording and audio production for that kind of music at the time. They started to emerge a bit further down the line, but at that point, his studio, I should say, was the epicenter of the Kuwaiti scene, at least. And I love that you have heard that name, or the name of his studio at least as well.
Yeah.
Not just through our mutual friends like Hadi and Kareem, but also just through the lore of the scene.
Exactly.
There's a legend to it almost,
I've been oddly obsessed with the local scene, like a local scene, like the idea of a group of people, a collective of people that get together and support something. Since I was a kid, and that's why I used to have a Camelhead podcast in 2005. Before even podcasts weren't, I uploaded it on MySpace. Like that's how fucked up it was. Have you seen that? We did this thing where we interviewed bands from around Dubai.
I remember that.
yeah, we did it with Sari and Ahmed Sharif and all those guys. And I've just been obsessed with, like, I had this idea of, like, if I'm not on stage, I want to be the guy that's off stage, kind of supporting the bands and checking them out and giving them reviews, giving them a platform. If a band wants a music video, a video edit, I know a little bit about that. I did at the time before it was my actual job. I'll fucking do it. I'll do it for free. I'll do all that stuff. And I felt like the Gulf, that like Middle Eastern scene, was a collection of people that are like, we got each other's backs. And that was kind of how it started.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even, things could be exchanged in as quick a moment as meeting someone in the middle of a record store or something. Yeah. That's how I ended up finding out about Dubai-based bands, is when I met two metalheads in the Virgin Mall of the Emirates in the metal section. Two wonderful guys that I'm still friends with to this day, who recommended that I check out Coat of Arms. They sent me Open the Dams, I think it was called. One of the first ones.
Video. I love that video. We played it on the show when he was on, and he was like, "Please stop, please stop."
It's great because my buddy Luke is in it playing bass.
yeah, I love that. I played the show with Luke. He was on bass for Desert Experiment. We did a couple of songs together.
That's amazing. But yeah, he was the guy I met in the middle of the metal section in a CD shop. Like, what are the chances? I just love how connected the scene is just from back then, you know, because we may drift apart, but we still managed to find our way to come sort of back together and congregate on the same place. But yeah, it was, I don't really know what else to say. It was a great time to be a metalhead in the Middle East, and a great time to be a rock fan in general, because it wasn't just bands like Voice of the Soul and the old metalcore band Black 13 Angels, which I think featured Abbas on vocals, who is now the singer of Wazn, I think they're called.
Yes.
Yep, that's Abbas. He was in a heavy band. You had more rocky bands emerging, like the blues rock band Jelly Shot, who were one of my personal favorites. I think I went to pretty much every one of their shows. Because their music was a bit less heavy, they could kind of get away with playing a few more shows.
Yeah.
And their the venues were always very welcoming to that kind of music. But yeah, they played amazing original blues rock tunes. Their guitar player, Hashim, is a good friend of mine. And he was just ripping leads. And I remember him being kind of one of the scene's focal point for guitar, because it was him, and then there was Hadi, who was pretty much the guitar god of the scene as far as our group were concerned. And then you had Karim Shahayeb, who was kind of almost the young Shredder, Alexi Leho kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely.
It was great, man. What more can I say?
Yeah. Ace, to answer your question, yes, it's the same band with Hamandi, yeah, it's the same band. And I another band I think you should check out, Ace, is Wated, local to Dubai, two Jordanian guys, heavy ass metal with Arabic lyrics. I think you'd dig that. Very, very cool stuff.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing how far the scene's come. But let's talk about you in the scene. What was your first kind of after the first horrible band that you don't want to see the single from? What was your take in the scene, and how did you start like developing the musician side of your take in there?
Well, it's a bit of a weird one, really, because in my last couple of years in Kuwait, I got really into musical theater and that kind of thing, and I still love musicals to this day. But that was kind of my focus at the time. But I still very much loved rock, metal, the local scene. So my goal was to say, okay, if I can't quite form a band or get my own thing off the ground, it was like you said, I'm going to support as hard as I can and go to as many of the shows that are happening as I can, within reason, which is easier said than done, because a lot of shows, even shows that felt like they were running and were happening, were either cancelled day of or could be cancelled beforehand. So yeah, it was a case of just trying to support through shows and just kind of make as much noise on the internet about our local bands as I could. I mean, you can ask Hashim, because I think he's in the chat, but I was sharing Jelly Shot videos all over Facebook and MySpace and all kinds of stuff. And I guess just having friends who were active in the scene kept me active as well, you know, because it wasn't just about our sort of bands or various projects that people were working on, but that was how we exchanged music. That was how we exchanged music. That funky music.
Yeah.
Nah, that was how we exchanged music and how we found newer bands that we liked. So it was a very important dynamic, not just for the original music that was coming out of the country at the time, but if it weren't for my friends in bands, I wouldn't know half the stuff I do now. Using Hashim from Jelly Shot as an example again, I would be nowhere near as into the music of Devin Townsend and Strapping Young Lad that I am today if it weren't for him. Because he pretty much turned me on to Devin's entire back catalog and said, get through this, I'm sure you're gonna love it, and when you do, you will become obsessed. And he wasn't wrong.
I believe we even had a one of the streams where we did link dumps and stuff, and yours was Devin right away, and we even had a conversation, you and I, about why someone would post live mobile footage of recording of the Devon shows, right? Was that it? That was one of the streams, right?
One of them. I think I link dumped the song "Bastard," which my singing teacher has me working on at the minute, and it's a bastard of a song. But I've been on a real Devon kick at the minute. I've actually recorded a Devon Townsend cover with Hashim, which we'll be releasing 2 weeks from today on the 21st of July. So keep an eye out for that.
Let's lead up to that, because I want to talk about the covers. I want to talk about the when the lockdowns hit. You did like chorus Sundays. It was fucking amazing. I want to talk about all that. But how old were you when you moved to the UK? Like spent most of your life in the scene, building up relationships. You're going to school, doing all that stuff, and moving at a very crucial time. How old were you, and how did that go?
I just turned 19 when I moved to the UK. And it went a lot smoother than expected. I mean, of course, part of me still missed a lot of Kuwait. I got homesick quite badly. But I was very much enjoying my time in London. And one of the first things that I did when I moved here was book tickets to as many shows as I could, because I felt like I had to make up for lost time. For those that just in case, for those that might not know, we don't get a lot of shows in the Middle East. Dubai does more than Kuwait, at least in terms of the international shows and stuff. But Kuwait didn't have that many shows, did it? Nah, not outside local bands. Dubai was actually where we had to go if we wanted to go and see any international artists. So things like Dubai Desert Rock and the Metallica concert and all that kind of thing were a great lifeline to not just people in Kuwait, but people all over the Gulf, as somewhere that could play host to that. But having, been moved to the UK with my only international artist kind of gig experience be Dubai Desert Rock 2009. Immediately, like even before I'd properly moved, I was booking tickets to gigs. Like I remember Trivium announced their Defenders of the Faith 3 tour, which was sponsored by Metal Hammer, I think. And knowing I was going to be there, I was like, well, I've not even officially moved yet, but we're booking tickets now because I am definitely going to want to go. And then when I arrived, I saw loads of different flyers for various gigs that were happening, and was just like, yep, you go to as many as I possibly can, and just really experience what I'd been seeing through YouTube and videos and all that kind of thing.
How different was it at the very beginning, in terms of the like from a cultural perspective, the metal culture over there? Because I haven't lived anywhere else outside of the Middle East, but I'm just assuming that we have this like smaller, tighter knit community where everyone knows everyone, versus like moving to the UK right away. It might be a little overwhelming at first.
It was a little bit, but I was lucky in that I'd made friends with local metalheads in my stepdad's brother's hometown, which is where we currently live. Mm-hmm. And they were always quite close to London, so I pretty much always had people to go to gigs with, so I was really lucky in that regard. And that's how you get to meet people in the scene, is, people introduce you to more people, and then all of a sudden, you're walking around at a gig saying hello to pretty much anyone that walks by, because, you've been introduced to so many people at that point. But I was extremely fortunate to be in that position, because integrating into a metal scene as dense as the UK's was a little intimidating, even with that. I really don't know what to say beyond. There was something about, this lauded UK heavy metal culture that really made it feel like something special. I really don't know how to describe it. It's, it was this legendary thing that you were now a part of. And it was a case of, all right, well, what do I do now? I guess go to shows with my friends, and that's how things build.
I want to ask the chat, how's the scene where you guys are? Is there is there a tight-knit community vibe to it, or is it a little more grander? Is it a grander scene, and you guys have little pods within that? Because I'm always curious about that. Because you can name any band in this region, and I probably know someone from that band. Like, that's how small the scene is. Let alone the fans and the people that just listen to the music. But I'm curious what it's like where you guys are. Having moved there, started integrating the scene, going to the shows. How does one even start coming up to musicians and making friends when it comes to being in bands together and stuff?
That was a different matter entirely. I was lucky enough to, being in bands, I was lucky enough to meet the members of Ugly Yeti while we were at university together. Because our university, we were lucky enough to have a wonderful sort of live music society where loads of different bands started forming, and have stayed together post graduating. But yeah, that was where I first saw Ugly Yeti. They had a different singer at the time. And yeah, I just remember thinking they were great and that they sounded like Alice in Chains and thinking they were dope. So yeah, it just became a case of chatting to them, finding, similar interests, I suppose, in terms of music, and just kind of bonding over that and playing together, because we would often sort of do open mics together and things like that. But yeah, I mean, that was what my experience was like. I don't know if that's universal for everyone in the UK. A lot of times it's just answering an ad on social media, or people sharing, hey, someone's looking for a drummer, who's interested, kind of deal.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was an interesting thing to be a fan of a band first and then join them a few years down the line.
Yeah, I love stories like that. It's always amazing because I feel like fans are more critical of bands. Like, when you see a band live, you're like, if I was there, I would do this and I would do that. And then when you join them, you're like, hey, I could do that thing I wanted. It's kind of cool. I really like that aspect. Wicked Cat says, I'm in Philadelphia. We have everything at our fingertips. Woo! Cragger says, I'm the only metalhead music fan I know in my village. Damn, Craggers. You're rocking for a bunch of people though. You're like you might be the only one there, but with the metal spirit of 100. Quate is tight knit and clicky to a fault. Damn, I didn't know that about the Kuwait scene, but I mean that kind of exists everywhere. Even in Dubai, it kind of has that weirdness, that weird vibe. Like, when people play shows, you don't go to this promoter's show. You go to the other promoter's show.
It's like West Side Story.
Exactly. R&R, thank you for coming by, my friend. Good to see you here. I am here now properly. 4 derpy pauses in the house, you guys. We are all safe. We are all safe from the dangers of the internet because she's here. So yeah, you met these guys in college, and you started hanging out with them, tried to figure out all the stuff. Were you like, was it a plan to be a vocalist for a band? Like, where were you seeing yourself musically, at least when you first moved there?
When I first moved to the UK, I wanted to take a little bit of a break from singing. I didn't sing a whole lot in my first year here, just because it took up so much of my time in one aspect in Kuwait, where I said, you know what, I want to give a few other things a try first before I slip back into it. But then after a year, I couldn't avoid it, and it just roped me right back in, and it's stayed since. When it came to sort of thinking about starting bands, I don't think we never started anything long term, but I always wanted to do something at least fun, fairly jovial. Mm-hmm. And that probably peaked in 2015 when me and a few friends put together a fried chicken themed pop punk cover band, where we played a bunch of different weird covers and
repeat that again. Sorry. A fried chicken. What was it?
Themed pop punk cover band.
Okay. That's the first time I've heard that.
We were called 5-Piece Bargain Bucket.
Brilliant. Speaking of Billy Bob's Blood Drenched Brew.
Yeah, exactly. the terrible names didn't stop when we were 14. I'm carrying that on. But yeah, we did it to take the mick, and as part of our kind of gimmick as a band, we gave out chicken nuggets to the audience.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a way to bribe, because we were in a battle of the bands. It was a way to bribe the crowd. It was like, if we can't win by being good, we will win by feeding the crowd.
Well, something you can't even do now. Can you imagine going on stage and handing out chicken nuggets to the crowd? You can't do that now,
dude. Like, I think of that, and then think of things like what Children of Bodom were doing in 2006. There were spots of their set where they would sort of put a bunch of different like barbecue and kebabs and vegetables on top of a spear and roast it over their pyrotechnics and eat it on stage. And I'm just like, and then they throw it into the crowd, and I'm just like, you'd never do that now. That's gross.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a photo of me and someone from the Kuwait scene, Rashid, face to face with my mic in the middle, screaming into each other's faces, like mouth open. You could see the spittle. Like, it was a perfect photo. And as soon as the lockdown hit, it reminded me that was a year ago, and I was like, ah, shit, you can't do that. You can't do that anymore. can't have people sing into your microphone anymore. That's not happening.
Nah, like I was thinking about that the other day, actually, and because when Ugly Yeti play shows now, I wipe down the mics with anti-back wipes, because when you're the third or fourth band on a bill, you do not want to be inhaling all that spit and sweat, and ugh, it's horrible. So yeah, even back then I was just wiping stuff down, whereas now I think I'm just gonna have to take my own mic, because I do not trust whatever's going on. Not to say I don't trust venues. I trust them to look after stuff. I just, it's rather safe than sorry kind of deal.
Yeah. So what happened to the fried chicken themed band? Who, by the way, Ace wants to know where he can check it out.
Oh, the fried chicken themed band never recorded anything, and I don't think anyone filmed it. It was a you had to be there kind of deal.
I think everyone in the chat just wants the nuggets, by the way. I'm not sure if that's what they're trying to broad be over the fucking moon. If I went to a concert and got nuggets at the end, it saves me going to KFC after from Prodigal Space.
You kid, but someone grabbed a box of one of the nuggets and was feeding the sound tech while he was changing the lights. It was great, because the poor sound tech hadn't eaten all day. So luckily, he got dinner. That was wonderful. And yeah, it's our way of saying, even if the band are terrible, at least you got fed, right? So, but yeah, we ditched that. Well, I ditched that fairly quickly when I realized just how expensive that would have been. Think about slightly, average size pubs in the UK. That is a lot of chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, it's not an avenue you want to go down.
So what happened after that? Where'd you guys take that? With that experience, you guys having that like humor side to it, giving out chicken nuggets that everyone wants in the chat. Someone just Svenga Boys wants me to feed. I can't feed you guys. I'll do my best. I will. I'll give you chicken nuggets. Thanks, Tristan. That ruined the whole thing. But what'd you guys do after that?
Well, we kind of were just a one-time thing, I suppose. And we kind of went, yeah, that was fun. Maybe we'll do it again one day. But, that was kind of what we built that for. And then time went on. I left uni. Ugly Yeti kept going, and I tried to go to as many of their shows as I could, because I was still a big fan of the band. They'd put out their first EP by that point, which was great. It was called Meme Machine. I'm not just saying that because I'm in the band now. I'm saying it because I genuinely enjoyed the music. One of the songs on it, the opening track, was one of my most played songs of all time before I joined the band, which is ridiculous when I think about it. And to this day, Saad looks at me and goes, "Why? Why did you do it? Why?" But yeah, so they keep playing. Unfortunately, Ulash, my predecessor, had to leave purely because he had to leave the country. So they had to find a new singer. And I went along and auditioned, and it was a lovely, wholesome experience. Ulash was even there. So the person that I would succeed would got to help replace me. So, got to help pick his replacement.
Yes, there you go.
There we go. Sorry, words.
Trust me, the tribe knows. You didn't fuck up words. I fuck up words.
But thank you all the same. But yeah, that's essentially how it went. I auditioned. I sang one Ugly Yeti song, which we now never play live, and a cover song of my choosing, for which I picked "Man in the Box" by Alice in Chains. And to this day, I think that's my go-to song to sing if I'm trying out for anything, just because it covers so much. But yeah, deliberately picked an Alice in Chains song too, because that's who Ugly Yeti reminded me of when I first saw them. But yeah, a week after that, I was asked to sing for them, and the rest is history.
So was it the initiation process and then straight into the recording studio kind of thing, or were you guys playing shows to kick things off?
It was more or less straight to writing, because Saad had a bunch of riffs lying around that he'd been working on and developing while the auditions and things were going on. So we already had a set of material to work with that we would later refine and turn into the first EP with me on vocals, Emergence. But it was good. It gave me a chance to really get used to the band dynamic again after a while, and really figure out kind of the way I fit into the puzzle, almost.
Yeah. Especially coming into a band that's already done some stuff. It's always harder being the new guy in an already established group of people than building up from scratch, I believe.
Exactly. And I really did feel like I had to earn my stripes, not because of any pressure from the band, of course. They were super lovely and super supportive and pretty much very open with me from the get-go. From the word go, not the get-go, man. Sentence structures. But yeah, they were very much open and collaborative and engaging. And I just felt like I had to do my best by them to show them that they were right, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it really, it couldn't have gone much better, really, because I got into a great rhythm of writing with Saad. We wrote a lot of the vocals together for pretty much every song on that EP. And it really, really sort of solidified our songwriting relationship almost, which I will appreciate till the end of my days, pretty much.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And it sets the tone for how we write now, and I love it. What more can I say? But yeah, that was pretty much how we came to the Emergence EP. It was from material that had been pretty much strewn across the last few years of writing that was then refined through a lot of jamming and a lot of experimenting with various things. We wanted to try and add a few bits of harsher vocals onto this time, a few more harmonies, some grander arrangements, I suppose. And it was just a wonderful songwriting experience to sort of bring you up to date with Ugly Yeti. Sorry, I know I'm going off on a lot of tangents, but there is a method to these. Trust me.
That's the point to a podcast. You're supposed to go on tangents. That's exactly why we're doing this.
Okay, well then, can I ask you? That's crazy, bro. Have you ever done DMT?
Elk meat.
Pull that shit up, Jamie.
not that far into it. But I love the fact that you stumbled on a word or two and apologize for doing so, and the chat just all at the same time quoted the last stumble I had where I went, I know all the songs to the words of this album.
Oh.
Yeah,
that makes sense
guys.
to me, to be fair. I know what you mean. So.
Yeah, they knew what I meant, but they didn't let it go. They still haven't let it go.
No. But that's the thing. That's the thing. They don't let it go out of love.
Let's hope so, because otherwise it'd just be bullying you guys. It would just be bullying. We have a couple of questions in the question box.
Go for it.
First one is from Derps. Giving out food is pretty weird, but what was the craziest thing you did on stage or have seen another band do on stage?
Oh man, I haven't done that many crazy things on stage in a band that I can remember. Other than maybe painting my face as Finn Balor for Halloween, and then it all immediately sweating off my face because the lights were so hot. Craziest thing I've seen another band do. That's Rammstein pretty much setting light to the stage at Download Festival in 2013. Not that I expected anything less from Rammstein, but hot damn, they really did try to send everybody home singed.
Yeah, I think the answer to that question should always be Rammstein. But
yeah,
for me, it was.
Sorry, if not Slipknot or a close second. When I saw them headline the first night of that Download Festival, the barrier broke like 2 or 3 times throughout that show, and they had to stop multiple times. People were fine, but they had to put the barrier back up. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I wish I saw Slipknot. My craziest thing that I ever saw a band do was this band called Watain, black metal band. And we were backstage, and they started putting like caution tape around their area. And we asked, what the fuck's going on? They're like, oh, they're using real pig's blood to pour on themselves. So it's a health hazard. And we can't let anyone cross because they're going on stage with this. So we have to decontaminate the area basically before the next band goes on. We're like, oh, this is not a joke.
That's disgusting.
Belfagor says, that's so badass, I want to partake. I mean, your name is after another black metal band, so I'm pretty sure you would dig it. Yeah, Watain are well known for that. Yeah, it was my first time seeing them, and I was pretty taken back.
Were Svengali supporting?
No, I was on tour with Nerf Cell at the time. I was doing Nerf Cell's teching and photography and their what was it called? Their tour diaries. That was it. I was filming and editing their tour diaries, so I was with Nerf Cell at the time, but it was still crazy. Still, I have a shot of it in one of the tour diaries, and one of I forget who, the guitarist or something, comes up to the camera and says, "The fuck it," and walks away, and I was like, "All right, this is the fuck it, I guess."
God, that reminds me of something that someone else said, but it was completely irrelevant, so I'm just going to let that go.
We have more questions in the question box. R&R redeemed the question just to let you know. Cool mustache.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My best friend saw it for the first time in a while at some point last year, and he said, "Wow, you look like Captain Hook got a job at Google." And I was like, "Thanks, cheers, mate." I mean, all right.
They're calling you old school and new school at the same time. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know, like hipster Captain Hook. Like, I guess maybe I don't know. Like,
I'll never unsee that now. Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers.
And for everyone that's listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, hit Tristan up on Instagram. You'll see the mustache we're talking about.
Oh dear Lord.
Zvenga Boys is asking a question. What was the song Ugly Yeti stopped playing, and why did you stop playing it?
Ooh, good question. The song was a song called Wounds. It was the second to last track on the first EP, Mean Machine. And it's quite a good song, actually. It's got quite a nice kind of, slower but groovy rhythm. I just don't... I can't remember why we don't play it live. I think, I can't speak for the rest of the band, I think that it just doesn't fit quite as much with the things we play now. But who knows? One day we might decide to crack it out again. We've only got so much material, so it's unlikely to stay hidden in the near future. But I haven't played it live yet since my audition. So yeah, it might happen again. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, it was a really good song, but it might just feel like a bit of a lurch in the middle of our set.
We've had a song like that in Svengali where we've had two actually. We had one off the first EP called Aphidia and another one of the first EP that was The End, where they're so different to what we play now. We played them once at a show very early on, like our third show ever or something, and then put them away for a long time. And then just before everything closed off, we actually played it at one of our very last shows, and everyone fucking knew the songs. Like everyone was singing along. We're like, wait, what? We haven't played this since 2015, but because we haven't, that's the one people go to listen on the album, and everyone fucking sang along. It blew my mind. I was like, how the fuck? I don't even know the words to this. How do you know the words to this?
That's amazing.
Svenga Boys with the party lights.
Because I love that song. Ophelia is
yeah?
a wonderful song.
Oh, thank you, man.
That was, again, I was turned on to that because Hardy produced that EP, right? Or he was involved in some way.
Yeah, he did.
And because he was sharing quite a bit of the promo and stuff, I went, okay, I'll check this out. And I was like, whoa, this band are coming out of the Gulf? Like, I've not heard anything like this come out of the region before. This is amazing.
Oh, thank you, man.
From the first hit of Ophidia, and I was like, I'm interested to see where this goes, kind of deal.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like you were saying, man, it was just us trying to figure out how we write. Like, how do you write in a group? How do you? Because I've been in bands since I was a teenager, right? But like, we never took that leap of like, we're gonna sit down and write an EP. We're gonna sit down and think about how we're gonna perform this live. Like, it's not just me and a drum machine and a guitar anymore. It's like me and a group of people. And I've said this a million times. Svengali basically sounds like me and JM fighting, because that's what it's just us disagreeing until we both agree, and that's that's what lands on the album. That was it.
Absolutely. And I was talking to Ulash about this, actually, my predecessor in Ugly Yeti, who performs under the name Yigzi now as a Turkish hip hop sensation. He's wonderful. Honestly, check him out. I was talking to him about it, and we were saying how being in a band is like being married, but you're married to your bandmates, kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like being
that's
married
essentially it.
To 3 or 4 stubborn musicians. That's exactly like
pretty much.
You think one is bad enough, you got 3 other people to get through.
Yeah, but it's not bad in that way, because you never get. You're never pissed off about it. Like, sure, you might get frustrated every now and again, but once you get to the end product, at the end of the day, you look back on that and go, no, they were right. Like, this makes sense. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but it makes sense now. That's kind of what that pathway is for, really, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, of course, arguments are going to happen within a band, and the way you described you and JM writing is kind of how, not arguing, but sort of deep discussions is how I would describe it with Saad. But at the same time, I'm sure you feel this with JM as well. At the same time, you feel like you couldn't do this with anybody else.
Yes.
Right? Like, if it wasn't the two of you, it just would not work.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Right? Working on whatever you do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, exactly like you said. It's that love-hate relationship. Like, you have to get through the tough parts because the good stuff is really good. That's the way I see it.
And you just described being in a band.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, when we first started, I came from a place where I was always the like shot caller in my old bands, and I kind of did everything myself. And JM came from the shot caller, kind of did everything himself background. And when we first started, and one of us just said, "No, I don't like that," it was like, wait, what? How can anyone say that to me? How are you even? So outside of the actual band dynamic and the writing process, I think one of the biggest things I learned since 2015 starting Svengali is just being able to listen and maybe say, fuck it, you know what? You're right. I was wrong. Yeah. You were right. I wasn't able to say that before. And it kind of seeped into like my personal life and my relationships outside of the band and stuff. And hey, man, I learned that through through fighting with JM over a guitar riff.
Exactly. It's it's a big lesson in, you might think it's great, but when you take your personal investment out of it and you step outside and you go, actually, does this suit our collective goal? And you look at it objectively as opposed to from a personal standpoint, you kind of go, actually, no, yeah, they're right. We got to move together, not tug each other in as many different directions. Which hasn't happened with us. We very much, we very much knuckle down and work when we can, and we like to think it works.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Bussy, continuing the gifted sub they got from 4 Derpy Paws. Dude, thank you so much, man. Thank you. Appreciate each and every single one of you guys that supports the show. It's the reason we get to do this. That's the reason we get to do this. So, Bussy, thank you so much for that resub, man. Appreciate you. As long as you don't play Mount Your Friends or whatever that game was called on Discord with Lars and actually do that. It was fucking hella entertaining.
What?
There's a game called Mount Your Friends. It's like these stick figures and they fling them on top of each other. They're wearing thongs. Absinthe is in the house. I don't know how to explain it, you guys. Bussy, could you explain it to the chat? I don't know. Because I'm digging myself a hole here. I don't know. Tristan's like, what kind of podcast are you making here? You made him whip out the Kuwaiti, bro.
You made me whip out the Arabic. I didn't want to have to. No, I'm totally fine with it. My Arabic is terrible, but I'm happy to speak it where I can.
That was better than I can say it.
But I find that very hard to believe.
Wait. Bussy's saying just Google Mount Your Friends. Maybe right. Let's not do that. Everybody that's listening to the show or watching this live, please don't do that. Tell us more about mounting your friends. Absinthe, we're digging ourselves a hole here. Let's jump back to the questions because Hash brought something up. He's like, there's got to be at least one sexy Yeti out there. And Wicked Cat asked, she redeemed ask a question. Why is the Yeti ugly? Where did the name come from? It was around before you joined, but do you know why the Yeti's ugly?
Honestly, I wish I could tell you. I didn't come up with the name. Although, funnily enough, I was speaking to my neighbor the other day, preemptively apologizing for any singing I do. And she was like, "Oh, is that you? Are you in a band?" I was like, Yeah. She was like, "Oh, what are you called?" "Oh, we're called Ugly Yeti." And she was like, "Oh, so a bit of a Tibetan vibe." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Like, kind of deal. I think it loosely stemmed from a play on Ugly Betty, but I can't confirm that. Purely because I wasn't around when the name was, thought up. This has been, the band's name for many, many years before I joined. I think it was a play on that and just kind of an ode to the trademark sort of wackiness of the band, I suppose. I wouldn't say we're completely silly, but we've got we like to think we have a sense of humor and don't take ourselves all that seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a combination of that, I suppose. It's an ode to that, a play on a well-known sitcom. The actual Yeti itself isn't all that ugly. They're actually very nice looking we've had for them. So I don't quite know where the ugly comes from. Someone did ask who the Ugly Yeti was in the band, and that was a bit mean, I thought, because no one in the band is ugly. They're all lovely. But yeah, it was just like, okay, we've created this thing for us now. Maybe we'll have some Yeti plushie toys down the line. Who knows?
Listen, you can definitely run with that, because in preparation for the show, I was having a conversation with our mod beast woman for Derpy Paws, and she was like, because it's a Yeti, like it's big, it's hairy, it stumbles, and I was like, wait, I feel personally attacked. What are you trying to say? Are all these things signs of ugly? But I just wanted to throw her under the bus.
Oh no! I think she was just trying to say how Yeti-ish you are, as opposed to being ugly. Because not all Yetis are ugly. Just ours, apparently. I don't know. Maybe we'll write a song about an actual ugly Yeti one day, and it'll all come full circle.
An ugly Yeti finding love. That's wholesome.
Yeah, like a nice little sort of Yeti Romeo and Juliet story kind of deal.
Yeah. Svenga Boy says, have you guys considered shortening it Yeti plus ugly, so it's Yugly?
Ugly. No,
That
because
sounds-
then every
that sounds more Arabic than it should.
no, every promoter would think we were insulting them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, who are you? Yugly? Oi,
Yeah.
out. Like,
One day they'll play in Tibet and a bunch of Yetis will beat these guys up.
yeah.
That's from Absinthe.
Honestly, if we can summon Yetis, if we can play in Tibet for one thing, and then summon a group of Yetis to our location, I think that would be, that's just jumping the shark just a tiny bit. Feels like something out of Metalocalypse almost. You know? Like the music was so strong that it summoned the Earth's Yeti population into existence. Like,
See, this is the kind of stuff that you can run with. This is the kind of stuff that you can run with.
actually, that'd be a great concept record. Now that I think
Exactly.
about
That's imagine a little like a sequence of music videos as well that just tell the bigger story, almost like a movie, like of the concept album. There you go.
Yeah. I low-key love it when music videos do that, and I'm a total nerd for concept albums. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Coheed and Cambria might have us beat, though. I don't think we'll ever be as good as them for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they're next level. Like the stories they've woven into this, amazing music is just insanity.
I come from such a hardcore kid background. My songs are like 2 minutes tops. They're very literal, like I was walking down the street and then I tripped. Like that's the kind of shit I grew up with. And when I listen to concept albums and these big grand metaphoric songs, I just get so lost. I guess I love it. I'm a big fan of it. But it's not the kind of stuff that I could produce. That's for sure. This Svengali is like as deep and metaphorical as I can go. The rest is like, I love my friends. It's just straight up.
I hate the government.
Yeah, it's a mix between Hatebreed and Tenacious D. That's kind of my range.
We played the best song, yeah.
Exactly. I can't remember what it was. That's kind of my range, but I do love that shit.
No, absolutely. But I think the best music to come out of that kind of progressive scene is done through the lens of pop. So that's stuff like Devin Townsend or Periphery or things like that, because yeah, it's still technically impressive, but they are not ignoring the structure of the song.
Yeah.
Everything is done to suit that song. I was watching a great video about this recently, actually, with Finn McKenty of the Punk Rock MBA. And he calls a lot of modern prog riff salad, which I think is the perfect term, because there's a lot of it that's just a bunch of riffs glued together and not really ending. Whereas the prog stuff that is really good is the stuff that is one or two riffs, but done in a ton of different ways that have sort of peaks and flows.
Yeah.
To me, at least, I suppose.
I mean, listen, I was in a band called Figure of Fate back in the day that we literally had no riffs repeat in any of the songs. And at that time, that MySpace prog kind of California mastering, everything's at 100% was the thing. We literally had 6 songs on that AP, not a single riff repeated. It was just, there was no chorus, no structure, no. So I dove into that world for a bit, but it was because of the environment. It was because of the culture around it and because of the fadness of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get it. And in the same way that a lot of people in the Kuwaiti scene were influenced, in the metal scene at least, were influenced by people like At the Gates and In Flames and all that kind of thing. So the songs still had a good structure, but they were very much in that leaning towards the progressive kind of camp. Save for the few rock bands that were around, like Jelly Shot, who were just, big choruses, lovely riffs all the way through. I can't gush about that band enough. I think they were my favorite Kuwaiti band, bar none. Like, it was just awesome.
We definitely got to check them out. You gotta drop a link over in the Discord once we're done here.
Absolutely, I definitely will.
Check
If I can find that first EP on YouTube, I'll definitely stick that in there. In the Discord.
For all the newcomers, if you guys haven't already, !Discord in the chat. Derpy just posted it. Super mod. Join Discord. We have conversations. You can drop your own bands. You can share some stuff you make. We have a growing community of fans and artists and managers and content creators from all around the world that I think you guys would definitely enjoy. Oh, we got some more questions in the question box.
Oh man, you guys are on fire.
Did you ever have a bad experience in the scene? Bands who saw you as rivals instead of colleagues, like Hash was saying in Kuwait, in the Kuwaiti scene, it was a little more of a clique vibe. There were a little bit of rivalry. How was it over in the UK?
Not particularly. I can't think of any terrible experiences at shows or with the metal scene as such yet, personally. Obviously, there's some of the wider problems that we discuss a lot of the time. But yeah, in terms of my own experiences, maybe one or two people being a bit, stupid at a gig once or twice, but I can't zoom in on one particular. At the end of the day, you kind of just brush those things off because you kind of go, if someone's being a bit like weird or strange at a gig, you kind of just go, well, we're at a gig kind of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no real bad experiences to speak of that I can remember at the moment.
Yeah, it's very different here because I've been through experiences where like other bands try to get you off the bill kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a little scuff at a venue. They were actively trying to make sure that you don't progress, which I think was the question. It was more along those lines, not.
All right. So, sorry, I misinterpreted that entirely. Yeah, there. In terms of the Kuwaiti scene itself, I noticed like maybe one or two rivalries. I couldn't remember who they were. I don't think, there were too many that were all that detrimental. I know there were one or two feuds that caused shows to break apart before they could perform. But yeah, I can't remember specific instances. There were people who were a lot deeper in than me, who would probably be able to give you a more of a first-hand recounting of that, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure, as Hash pointed out, they're still going on. But those show cancellation ones are a Middle Eastern unique thing where people like tell on each other's shows so they can get the show shut down.
Absolutely,
that doesn't happen everywhere else in the world.
In Orlando Crowcroft's book, Metal and Mayhem in the Middle East, Rock in a Hard Place, pretty much every country he visits, he describes at least one person getting a show shut down by either another band or someone in their general neighborhood because people were playing in people were playing in houses. People weren't in the Gulf, at least, I don't think, weren't largely playing in venues, and even venues weren't safe because he talks about the famous rock bar in Lebanon, I think. I can't remember the name. That was being raided pretty much all the time.
Nova. I think it was Nova Pub. Wasn't it something like that? Or Cherries?
Potentially. I think it was Cherries, potentially. I'd have to reread the book. But yeah, even countries where venues and stuff existed, you weren't entirely safe from being from shows being cancelled. So in countries where it was where it felt like more of a free-for-all and there were no dedicated spaces really, and you kind of had to make your own performance space kind of deal, which resulted in a lot of kind of house party shows and that kind of thing, which would then result in police being called and all kinds of stuff. It was a bit of a strange one. So I think people, in terms of heavier bands, kind of gave up on playing shows after a while in Kuwait, just because there was no space for them, at least while I was there, or at least, yeah, they didn't really have many places where they could perform to their fullest, without, you know, the risk of a prior cancellation or some kind of complication further down the line. I had a point to that story and I've completely forgotten it. So
that's cool. That's the point. That's the point.
I know.
I wanted to ask about you now with Ugly Yeti. You're settled in the UK. This is Venga Boys with the party lights. Is the Kuwait scene, the Middle Eastern scene, a big part of your approach when it comes to music? Is it a big part of your everyday, like when you're finding bands, all that stuff? Or do you feel like you've moving out of the country has distanced you from the scene and from the people over there?
I feel like some of the latter. I'm still friends with a select few people, but I'm not as connected to the scene as I once was. So the bits and pieces of the scene that I do find out about, I find out about through particular friends who were in the scene when I was about. And they keep me fairly up to date. Like there's a recent band from Kuwait called the Temple Tree, who I like listening to. I don't think were around in a strict formation when I was there, but finding out that Kuwaiti bands are forming even after, you know, I'd left it for good pretty much, was still really cool and still kind of gives me a piece of connection to home. And that's the same for the bands that I was listening to when we were very much active in the scene. Even if some of the music's a bit harder to track down now, there's still bits and pieces and pockets where it exists. So, you know, if I ever get a little bit homesick, I just crack on an old Voice of the Soul EP or an old Jelly Shot song, and it just kind of takes me right back there. But yeah, in terms of the current scene, I'm not as well informed as I would like to be.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's ever growing. I think that's why it's hard to keep up. I'm here and we do this show based around the Middle Eastern metal scene and like try to highlight it. And every day I'm like, what album just dropped? Who the fuck? It's amazing. I do love it. Craggers, change the lights to green. Thank you, my dude.
I was gonna say that happened with me for you last year. Purely because I was like, whoa, Svengali have got new music out. What's this? And
oh yeah.
And then the album dropped and I was like, you guys are back? Whoa, this is amazing. Like
Yeah, it was a long time between the albums, but literally everything happened in those 5 years for each individual band member.
Oh yeah,
life was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Like starting families, getting married, all that kind of thing kind of gets in the way of, takes precedent over music. Definitely.
It got in the way of me screaming into a microphone.
Oh, I can't play my music with my friends anymore with my responsibilities. But yeah, that's exactly how I felt when I saw that Sayonara was coming out, and I was like, yes. And I remember messaging you as soon as that album dropped and saying, I cannot tell you how glad I am that Svengali are back. And then a matter of months later, Coat of Arms start dropping songs non-stop, and I'm just like, this is awesome, because these are, you know, Coat of Arms were one of the first, I want to say, bigger bands, because compared to most bands that I knew in the scene, they were one of the bigger sort of fish in the pond, I guess. And for them to come back again was just amazing to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. They have strategy and like they know what they're doing. They know what the fuck they're doing these days.
Absolutely. Like I am fully behind it. England just scored a goal. I can hear my family.
I heard a little bit of that. Anyone in the chat watching the footballs? Anyone in the chat down with the footballs? Are you into football?
At a distance. I'm not as into it that I know about loads of different player trades and all that kind of thing, but I'll happily watch it socially or with my friends or vaguely follow my hometown's team. but I'm not as dedicated as some of the fans that you see who've got the shirts and are sort of fans for life kind of deal. But the Euros have been a nice bit of levity, I guess, and watching them as a family is actually quite nice. So
yeah, absolutely. There's something about that. Svenga Boys in the chat saying Denmark just scored.
Oh, sorry, not England.
Football, well, that's the thing where a ball rolls around and the players dive to the ground and eat grass, right? That's from Bussy.
Oh, God.
What were you going to say? I cut you off there.
No, it's okay. Well, I guess my parents want Denmark to win then. Yay. Then again, they get excited when goals happen because I think they just appreciate the game. We were watching Italy-Spain yesterday, and each time the ball went in, it was just like, whoa! And I think there's an element of, I was saying this to my mum yesterday, there's an element of the Arabian commentator over that.
Oh, yeah.
Because just the long scream. I'm impressed. I'm just like, I want his breath control when I sing.
If you guys never watch football with an Arabic commentator, Lingo just gifted 25 tier 1 subs to the community. Holy fuck, holy. Lingo, thank you, my dude. Brah, for real. Lingo 213, what a fucking badass. Dude, thank you, man. Holy shit. A lot of people just got a gifted tier 1 sub. You guys, if you don't already know, sorry Tristan, but this just kicked my ass right now.
We got new tribe members to welcome. That's more important.
Hell yeah. Lingo 213 is an absolute fucking badass, and give him a follow. He's a streamer. He's an OG homie of mine. He's been around for 20 years. I've known this guy almost 20 years. We sound old, but it's been a long ass time. Thank you, brother. That means the absolute world to me, man. And you're making it creep over to that 300. We might have to do a giveaway soon. That's absolutely cool. Oh, there you go. Trisher XO got a gifted sub as well. Welcome. First time chatter. Absolutely badass. You guys follow Lingo. Go show him some love. 25 gifted tier 1 subs out of nowhere. What a badass. He keeps the tribe alive. Absolutely. I'm blanking. Where were we before this? Holy crap!
We have gone off on so many different roads. We can't remember the one we started on.
Exactly.
But I guess that's the beauty of these things, right? We don't know where we're gonna end up.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your Instagram and what you were doing as soon as lockdown started. You had this thing where you'd ask your Instagram followers to suggest different songs, and then you would perform the vocals or the chorus of that song on your Instagram stories and post it. And then you would do this, I think it was bi-weekly at first, and then you started doing it as a Sunday thing. What was that? Was that coping with the lockdown? How was that like?
Pretty much. I started that before I came back to Brighton, and it was a case of just I need to do something to make sure that I don't go completely stir crazy and that I still have some form of interaction with people that isn't just checking in and saying, "Hey, how are you?" So I said, right, I'm gonna put a request box up. These are gonna be, pretty low quality videos, but it's the best I've got. Gonna put a request box up, get people to request various choruses. I'll pick my favorite and sing it. And I did that every day from March until middle of the summer, I want to say, of last year. And the only reason I stopped is because, the reason I started was to make sure that I A, had an excuse to practice singing, and B, got, some other way to interact with people. The reason I stopped was because I genuinely didn't like how I was sounding, even with what I was doing with the daily choruses. So from there, I managed to track down my current singing teacher, who has absolutely changed the way I look at singing. Like,
had you had any like training before this finding this particular teacher?
Like one or two bits maybe, but not anything extensive. I'd done a few lessons like a few years before that, but nothing this in depth and nothing this suited to what I want to be doing. Because I wanted to be able to get better at harsher singing as well as just regular singing, and I've certainly improved, but I'm not at the point where I want to be yet. But I think that's good for now because it means that I can sort of develop it further and make it closer to what I want it to be. Because the screamy stuff is the stuff that I am least comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never been able to do it right, and the one or two times that I have done it, it just really messed with my voice and really, really hurt. So I decided to stop doing it altogether until I could learn how to do things properly.
Yeah.
Which has been amazing because now I can do, not whole things, but harsher vocal lines without shredding up my voice box. And it's been, a great little tool that I can start to put into little bits and pieces of my covers or songs that I'm doing with the band. It's another thing that I can bring to the table to help everything. And I think that, yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's a great segue into this question that we have in the question box. What would you say is the most important thing about making music for you? Is it more the personal fulfillment, or is it doing something for the audience, telling a story, sending a message, etc.? And I'd like to add to that, or achieving kind of personal goals as a musician yourself.
Ooh, that's a multi-layered question.
Mm-hmm.
Really, at the moment, it's about personal fulfillment because at the end of the day, I sing because it's fun and it makes me happy. I'm with Ugly Yeti because when we play together, it makes me happy, and when we play, especially our original material that we've come up with together, that is my end goal. And if I can write about subjects that are closer to my heart along the way, then I'm all in for it, really. So yeah, to answer your question, it's a little bit of both, more of the former than the latter. But yeah, it's really just a way of it's a way to channel a lot, really. Really.
Yeah.
I can't find the words to describe it beyond. It's about sort of expressing what I can't express elsewhere, and doing that through the lens of something that I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. And add to that, the archiving goals. Do you pursue your dreams eagerly enough? Like, do you chase your dreams the right way? Mr. Prostitute, what's going on? Prostitute always busting my balls. How's it going, man? Good to see you here. And I saw Craggers was asking for Tristan's Instagram page. If you guys check in the chat, and there will be some more links to that. Ugly Yeti's Instagram page is in the chat. Every time the alert comes up, every time his name comes up, we drop the Instagram in there. So head on over there and give them a follow. You'll see a bunch of that stuff there, and a whole lot more. They have a link tree in their bio as well for you to check out all their music and their Bandcamp and all that stuff.
Indeed we do. And it's funny you should mention our Instagram because the piece of promo that we did for that was some of the most fun I've ever had. Honestly, we made a little video to sort of announce to people that we'd made an Instagram, and the idea was Saad was texting all of us to let us know that our Instagram was active and we were live and all that kind of stuff. So he texted Ankit first. Ankit would, respond with just "fuck you." Mache would respond with a picture of a train, and then I responded with "intahmar."
Which translates to you're a donkey, basically, in Arabic.
But it's way more offensive in Arabic than it is in English. And it just ends with Saad going, "Oh, you know what? Fuck this." And it's honestly the funniest bit of promo that I think I've ever been a part of.
And everyone can check that out on the Instagram page as well, right?
I think it's the very first thing that's on.
It should be, yeah. All right, awesome. So what's Ugly Yeti's plan now? Things are opening up. I mean, things are hot and cold over in the UK, but things are opening up again. It seems like shows are back open. All the stuff is. I mean, I don't want to say going back to normal, but
Yeah,
crossing
there's something
fingers.
weird about that.
Yeah,
There's something weird about that, doesn't it? Like,
is there going back to normal? What do you see happening in the near future?
Honestly, our immediate goal is to keep writing. We're in the very early stages of it now, but we want to be able to, just keep churning out some songs. Maybe change how we look at releases. Because I know a lot of different bands are switching from album and EP based hit releases to something similar to what Coat of Arms are doing. Actually, is proof that you can just write, and produce top-notch singles. So I think that would be a more immediate goal, I suppose. Get some music videos made. Maybe play in some towns outside London because I have yet to do that with the band. I don't know if the band have played outside London yet. But that would be cool to do. And in terms of where we go in the far-flung future, I really don't know. Our goals immediately are to keep writing and get back in the same city.
Yeah, I think that's because of the traumatic year that we've had as especially people that perform, and even in my day job industry where people were filming, everything got shut down. The immediate goal is just to be creative again. Just be able to meet your friends and write music. Like that could be the biggest thing that's happened in the last year and a half.
Absolutely. And it's not that we haven't had opportunities as individuals, both you and me. It's not like we haven't had opportunities to do things by ourselves, and we have, absolutely. But there's a bit of a difference between us doing our sort of individual creative thing and then getting in a room with our bandmates and creating together again. And that experience is, for the writing process, there's things you can do as individuals, but to get in a room and jam out things together is just so important to the process.
100%. And I think we definitely had that discussion, as Derpy Paws just pointed out over on Discord, when it comes to releasing singles versus albums. We had a bunch of the tribe that were saying nothing replaces a good album front to back, listening to the concept album as we were talking about earlier. The others, Bailuni was involved in the conversation, saying it's a singles world these days. You can get more punch for each song instead of kind of having it drown within the context of a full-length album where it might not get the spotlight that it deserves. In this day and age, you mentioned it briefly, but what would you consume more of, having seen the Coat of Arms route versus a full-length album that just dropped from X band?
That's a really good question, and my honest answer is that I'm a music fan, so both. It all depends on what the bands want to pursue. So if they want to pursue the singles route, then I am on board for that, and I will listen to those singles. It's kind of similar to what Machine Head have been doing for the last couple of years, although apparently there is an album on the way. But then at the same time, I listen to a lot of bands who are exclusively putting out albums, but are treating their singles as hit singles, almost. So they are giving those singles enough time to breathe and letting those stand out. That's one thing that a band called Don Broco are doing over here with their latest song. It's been non-stop on my playlist. It's called Manchester Super Red's Number One Fan. It's you cannot stop playing that song once you start. There's an album coming around it, but it's being pushed off the back of this one great song at the minute. Yeah. And it makes you excited to hear what comes next, which is the point of a big hit single, isn't it? I suppose. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound so aggressive there. It's the point of a big hit single, isn't it?
Better be a hit, boy. Yeah. it's that record label executive with a cigar in his mouth. I want you to make a hit.
You're gonna be a star, kid. And then on the other side of that, you've got Lars Ulrich's dad going, I would say delete that.
I think,
Delete
yo,
that.
I want to make that into a T-shirt. When he says, so what do you think? And they played him this weird ass track off Saint Anger, and he goes, I really don't think so. And I'm like, that's the best response to that shit music.
He is trying so hard to be nice. You can tell he's like, oh, this is my son's music. I don't want to trash it. You know, but what more can you be than honest at the end of the day?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that delete that. Sorry.
Prostitute says he prefers to be immersed in full albums with a story that evolves throughout the songs. His favorite concept album is London by Voices, and is asking what your favorite concept album is.
Ooh, that's a really good one. Oh, this is gonna be really hard. It's got to be a tie between In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth by Coheed and Cambria. This is so hard because there are so many that are really good. Or Crack the Sky by Mastodon.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It was between that and Blood Mountain, but I don't think Blood Mountain is quite a concept record.
Wicked Cat dropped the ultimate concept album, Pink Floyd, The Wall. Sorry, it's old, but it still holds up. Yeah.
Very good shout. That is the concept album, though. Like, that's the one that every modern concept album, at least, kind of looks back to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Strong shout.
Saying my man shouting out Coheed and Cambria and Mastodon. You're ticking all the boxes. But,
absolutely.
Dude,
Coheed and Cambria is just for the hair envy.
Speaking of the hair envy, how do you do that? Why can't I look cool? Why don't I have hair and a mustache like that? How do I cool. Make that happen?
You seen your beard, dude?
I got called a Yeti twice today.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you look great. So there. And you give me beard envy, so there.
Yeah, all right, cool. I can, upside down, I work it.
Yeah, but in terms of this, I don't know. It's this seems to sprout out of Arabian men's heads pretty naturally. That is one thing that Hashim and I both have in common, is we've both got this tightly wound, like long curly hair. His is much longer than mine. I reckon if you grew yours out properly, it would flow really well.
Wait, can someone
grow your hair out, dude?
Can someone drop the emote? I tried to grow it when I was a kid, but it never came back down. It just went up. And we made Belfagor made an emote out of it. Whoever has that emote, not that one. whoever unlocked, there it is. That's what it looked like. He kind of colored my hair, but it was just a circle. It was just a circle.
That's fair. Especially in a hotter country too, you feel that with curly hair because it just goes.
Yeah, 100%.
You gotta tame it with some product, dude. That's all you gotta do. It's slick.
I'm one of those guys. I have no idea how to. I'm a stereotype. I'm like the stereotype of the dude that doesn't know the product stuff. I used gel on my beard once, and that's the only thing I figured out how to do. I'm so bad at this shit. I'm really bad at it, and I'm not proud of it. It's like I just suck at figuring these things out. It's like figuring out if it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Tame it with a razor.
No, it's completely fine. Like, you know, you got the cheap. You don't ever have to pay for a haircut, so there's that. You know, maybe a beard trim once in a while just to make sure you're all shaped. But
yeah,
you know, but I think you're stylish. Don't put yourself down. Don't ever say you're not
thank
cool
you,
again.
man. Thank you, man. And look at Wicked Cat calling me a sexy Yeti. Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't call you a Yeti. You did that to yourself. You dunce. I'm sorry. And I get called. All right. Thanks, Derps. It doesn't spring out of my head from Julian.
I tell you what, we'll Photoshop your picture onto a Yeti and then we'll sell that as collab merch.
Done.
How's that sound?
Done. Wait, actually, maybe not done because the tribe will actually buy that shit. They're like ready. They're ready.
Oh, in that case, we'll go the full plushie route. You'll get an Adnan Yeti plushie. It's just a Yeti one with Adnan's face stapled to
A Wicked Cat says, take my money already. Brother Easy answer, don't cut the beard again. It really works. Craggers has one of the massivest, most epic beards I've ever seen in my life. Your hair looks better than mine. From Bussy. Listen, dude, you guys don't know what you're talking about. An Adnan plushie? Yes, please. All right. We're listen, it was a joke, you guys. We're not doing a Ugly Yeti unmuted collab with my face on it. Maybe we'll talk about it later.
Never say never. I mean, I kind of want one just from me. So if we can sell them together, then that's fine.
Roxanne says, Adnan plushie sold. Julian, yes, we are. I'm already calling my merch people.
Hey, this is print money.
Oh, God.
Yeah, right. This podcast was not the route. The Adnan plushie.
But speaking of merch, how can the tribe support Ugly Yeti? How can these guys show some love? What's the best route you guys are doing? Is there a band camp? Is that the best route? Is rocking up to shows in London, because we have a lot of people from the UK in here? What is the path these guys should take?
Whatever path you see fit. We have many paths to suit you. There is our Instagram at Ugly Yeti Official, where we'll try to keep you up to date with various things, as we are all a bit weird with social media. We're trying to still navigate that as a band. Or you can follow us on Bandcamp. That's probably the best way to support us. Hit the follow on Spotify or wherever you get your music. Yeah, if you're vaguely interested, come along to a show if you're about in London. It'd be nice to meet some members of the tribe face to face, and yeah, hang out.
We're getting asked, when will you guys play Belgium? Is that in the? Let's see.
Is that an offer?
Let's get the lockdown out of the way first. Wait, is there no lockdown in Belgium? Are you guys playing shows in Belgium? Is that happening?
We haven't announced any, but I would very much love to play in Belgium. So
Belgium is opening up.
Promoters.
Yeah, that's sick.
Hit us up.
I'm in London on Saturday. Play me a show from Craggers.
Just for you, Craggers. No one else.
Let's. I wanted to play a little something for the tribe. I'm on your YouTube page. I was trying to find a live show, one of the live shows that you guys have, or maybe just a track. What would you like to play for the tribe?
Ooh. This is a really good question, because I could pick one of two songs. Yeah, we'll go with this one. I would like to play you my favorite song from our latest EP, which is Escape Velocity.
Here we go.
We now close our sets with this song, and I go hype for it every time.
Hell yeah! Well, let's check this out. We'll still be here. Well, let's do this little trickaroonie. Book them for Unmuted Fest, dude. You know, if Unmuted Fest is happening, Ugly Yeti's is gonna be there. It's gonna be 100% there. Let me.
Oh, absolutely.
Look at this, you guys. I'm doing this on the fly, on the go. You guys have no idea how much brain power I'm using right now to get this done. There we go. And we can play the song. You guys get to check out the artwork and everything. Hold up. And this one. Look at this. Look at this. Pure genius I am.
You're so fancy.
It's a work in progress. It's a thing that I do. It's a
still
thing that I do.
It's still slick as hell, though.
All right, here we go, you guys.
Yeah.
Do you wanna give us a little bit of info on the song before we play it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a song mainly written about kind of letting your mind wander to the point of self-destruction and stopping yourself doing that. That's what the song's about.
Thank
Never
you to
mind what I
whoever
just
did
said.
that.
That's what
Oh,
it's
you guys.
about.
Here we go. Here we go. I think this will play everywhere. There we go. Yes, I have a Mac Wicked Cat, unfortunately.
Rob?
Isolation chimes the death knell. Without a guide, the mind wanders.
Hash says, no joke, this is my ringtone.
Irrational.
Wait, seriously? That is amazing. Thank you.
Some monster, a prisoner in your head. Fight for what feels like
Love it.
eternity.
Svenga Boy saying the bass sounds awesome.
That's all Mache. He is incredible.
There we go, y'all. Let me see what happened in the chat before we get Tristan in here. Derpy with the clap right away. There was a lot of things happening. No joke, this is my ringtone. Killer opening. The bass sounds awesome. This is the true old school British sound. I like it. Svenga Boy's dancing and then putting on the police lights. So all it takes to shut up Unmuted is a play an Ugly Yeti song. If only we'd known earlier. Oh shit, this slaps. We got Zvenga Boys in the pit. Oh heck from Derps. Nitro throwing in the sick riff emotes. Zvenga Boys with the stank face. We got some beer thrown around. We got Craggers pushing Derpy into the mosh pit there. Oh man, you guys, Prostitute saying a very nice song structure. A bunch of spicy emotes in there as well. I hear the Mastodon influence here and there. A whole lot of claps, a whole lot of woos. Roxanne saying this is amazing, dude. That was a hell of a song. How do you feel playing it for the tribe?
I'm speechless. That was really kind. Thank you very much to everyone who's enjoyed it. It's weird. Someone pointed out a Mastodon influence. I didn't hear that until now, because my main thoughts or influences for the vocals, at least, were Matt Heafy from Trivium and Howard Jones. So it was just like, oh, that's interesting. Purely because I think Troy is one of the best vocalists out there in terms of the gravelly vocal tone and that kind of thing. He's just awesome.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about people's interpretations of music, right? Is, Prostitute says he hears the Mastodon influence. When you think about it, you're like, I see where he saw that. But the guy that, you wrote the music and you wrote the lyrics and the melodies and everything, that wasn't necessarily your take on it at that time.
Not at the time, but now that someone mentions it, I kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
And it's no surprise, because at the time, Saad was like, ooh, I really want to cover a Mastodon song as well. So we nearly ended up doing something like, not for the EP, just for like live shows. We nearly ended up doing Steam Breather or Show Yourself or something like that. So who knows? Maybe. I'd love to do some Mastodon. But yeah, it's always cool when you kind of hear bits and pieces that, the musician themselves is a little surprised by. I had that with a band I'm listening to at the moment called Dreamwell. They're from Providence, Rhode Island. And, I just think that they sound like old school Thursday. There's just no mistaking it. But then I spoke to their singer and they said that they'd never actually listened to Thursday, so they didn't know how they sounded, but a lot of people seem to be saying that. And I was like, fair play. You did that completely on your own.
Yeah. We get that a lot, especially JM of all people gets that a lot, because they're like, oh, your riff sounds like, ex metalcore band. You guys have a Azalea Dying tinge. And he's like, I've never heard Azalea Dying in my life. And they come up to me and they say things like, oh, the thrash vocals. I'm like, I'm the metalcore guy, not the thrash guy. And but I guess it's the mix of everything, right? The mix of all of that stuff with the influences and your interpretations of it and everything that happens kind of makes that full song. Absolutely. And that is basically, you summed it up perfectly there. Pretty much everyone within Ugly Yeti has different sets of influences. Saad and mine are probably the most similar, but we all bring in tons of different variables that the other doesn't necessarily think of, and that's such a great moment when we can kind of find bits and pieces and put them all together to make something, fresh but still with hints and bits and pieces of what we like. Yeah, absolutely. There's someone dropped in a question. Why can't I see that question? Oh, that's from Zvenga Boys. Nice, but can you sing Ed Sheeran? I have sung Ed Sheeran once or twice for weddings as a first dance. I wouldn't choose to do it again, but yeah, it was. I can understand why those songs were picked, because they are good songs. Hell yeah. Well, dude, it's been an absolute fucking pleasure having you on the show. We usually wind down instead of asking what you're gonna do in the future, because everybody has the same kind of goals, like we talked about. Just to play more shows, to write more music. We have a tradition around here to say, kill the background music. If you had a time machine and you were, Sexy Wink. God damn it, Zvenga Boys, right now. Okay. Right now. There you go. That was Sexy Wink redeemed in the middle of my... No, she wasn't ready. In the middle of my speech, Zvenga Boys. Let's do this again. All right. let's mute the background music again. If you had a time machine and you were able to go back in time, meet young Tristan just about to get into the scene in Kuwait, just before you found Linkin Park, before you fell in love with music, and you were to give young you, shut up, you guys, and you were to give young you a piece of advice from the road that from your journey so far. Tell your younger self something that you've learned along the way. What would that be?
Okay. Well, let me think. I would say, don't take this place for granted. Allow yourself to enjoy being here more. Okay, because you're surrounded by something amazing, and I guarantee you that 10 or so years down the line, you're going to want nothing more than to be back at your favorite shisha place with your friends, listening to your favorite tunes, and talking about who's going to the Jelly Shot show the next day. And for God's sake, stop straightening your hair. You look like Gerard Way's Arab cousin.
Would young you listen to that? Would young you listen to that?
Probably not.
Dude, thank you so much. Don't take it for granted, you guys. Enjoy every second of it. And if we've learned anything, it's to just kind of especially since the lockdown and everything that we've been through, just kind of enjoy where you're at. Enjoy where you're at. I went through that phase where I was like, you know what? We need to leave this place. And I went through, I don't know if you've been through it. Everyone in the Gulf has been through it at least once, where you're like, the best place to be is not here. And then as soon as I left, I was like, yo, I kind of had it good. I don't know why I did that. So we came back right away.
That's essentially it. Everybody at least has that feeling once, and then it depends on how it manifests itself when you arrive at your new destination, and what you do with that as well. And there's no right or wrong path necessarily. I know people who've moved to the UK, gone back to the Gulf for a while, and are now just thinking of stepping back out again and seeing what the rest of the world's like. But yeah, absolutely. It was that yearning to... When I was younger, I was so full of that yearning to leave that I never quite stopped to take a look around and appreciate where I was and, everything that was happening within that moment. So yeah, the one piece of advice that I would give younger me is, appreciate this place for what it is, because it's part of you. And yeah, don't take it for granted.
Absolutely. And dude, thank you so much for your time, man. Chat, thank you guys for coming down and partying with us, for asking all the questions, for Lengo213's massive random drop of 25 fucking tier 1 subs. You guys are the best. We have a bunch of them. That's kind of sad and nostalgic. Had a great ending. Young me was an idiot. Bussy says, old me is still an idiot. Krager says, idiots are awesome. we're all just a bunch of fucking misfits trying to get along, you guys. Like I said, if you haven't already, join the Discord. Tristan, it's a tradition around here to officially end the show. We have to have the guest say the words, hit the outro. But I raised you one, since there was a sexy wink towards the end of that. Maybe have a sexy wink, hit the outro combo. But before we get into that, I also want to ask you, we're about to raid Bloodstock Fest after this. What should the tribe yell at Bloodstock once we get in their chat?
Oh, damn. What should you yell when you run into the chat? Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins. I have no idea what that is. Do you want to give us any context?
There's an infamous viral video of this World of Warcraft raid, and they're all sitting there, they're all planning, they're gonna get real specific with it, and this one guy in the party just goes, all right, let's go, Leroy Jenkins, and runs right in and fucks up the whole thing for everybody. It's really funny. And his friends are all like, oh god, Leroy, what?
All right, you guys, there it is. There it is. Leroy Jenkins. We're going to have to do it. This is the guest's request, the guest's call. Are you guys ready? All right. So whenever you're ready, sexy wink plus hit the outro at your own pace in your own way. And that will officially end the show.
Okay. I have never sexy winked before, but this will be interesting. Hit the outro!